developing story of the day. It's been confirmed that the Premier of the Eastern Cape, Oscar Mabuyane, is now going to court. He's asking a judge to stop the Hawks from investigating him. He claims he's the victim of a political witch hunt, which is somehow linked to the suspended ANC Secretary-General, Ace Magashule. Last week, the public protector said she had found Mabuyane had received 450,000 rand from the Bizana municipality that was supposed to be used for a memorial service for Winnie Madikizela Mandela. Mabuyane says the public protector ignored the facts. Johan Lorenzen is an associate at Richard Spoor Inc. It's a firm of attorneys. Johan, good afternoon to you. This is quite a strange application. So the Premier wants the Hawks to stop investigating him. Can he ask someone to say, stop investigating me, when he hasn't actually been formally charged? Jan, I don't know if you've muted yourself. There we are. All right, so let me put the question again. Can he stop the Hawks from investigating him when he hasn't been charged?
Thanks, Stephen. Thanks to the viewers. It's a very interesting application indeed. There's certainly no precedent for an investigation to be interdicted. There is precedent around a review and setting aside of a prosecution, but at this stage, there's no indication that it's reached that level. So it would be absolutely unprecedented, and I think we'll get into the papers. It also seems likely to be unwarranted.
So, I mean, I presume then this doesn't mean that you lose any of your rights. You just have the right to challenge the decision to charge you at a later stage, and that decision hasn't been made yet.
Right. You have if there's a decision to charge you have the opportunity to review that. But more fundamentally, once you're charged, you have the right to defend that under Section 35 of the Constitution and all the rights that come with a fair trial. So that's the idea that just investigating someone can be interdicted is very novel. I'll say that.
Mabuyane seems to be claiming that this is about the Hawks in the Free State and somehow linked to Ace Magashule. Now, Ace Magashule and Mabuyane, clearly different political factions, if I can call it that. Ace Magashule, the suspended Secretary-General of the ANC. Can Mabuyane just say that? Does he have to prove a claim like that? If he says in court papers, Ace Magashule is responsible, does he actually have to prove it?
He certainly would. We're obviously at a disadvantage because we've not seen the answering papers from the Hawks. So he says that it's the Free State Hawks who are doing the investigation. He says that's improper. And that might well be so, and perhaps this will then create a new precedent. But there may also be reasonable reasons why the Free State Hawks are conducting an investigation. For instance, that a decision was taken that the Eastern Cape Hawks shouldn't be burdened with investigation, given how connected they may or may not be with the Premier of the province. That said, it may well be that this is a corrupt investigation that Mr. Magashule is orchestrating. It doesn't seem very likely, but it could be, and we'll only be able to tell once we see the answering papers from the Hawks, which we've not seen, and it's quite interesting. The case is due to be heard on Tuesday, and it's very unclear what position the Hawks are taking at this stage.
When Oscar Mabuyane says a confidential source told him about this, and I mean, I'm always amazed at what people will put in court papers. So he says a confidential source told him about this investigation. I mean, a confidential source could tell me that the sky isn't blue but is in fact purple. If I were to say it in court again, I would probably have to say who that confidential source is.
And I would imagine, always difficult to say, but I would imagine a court would want to hear who that source is. To just put in the innuendo without saying specific allegations about who did what incorrectly and potentially, in this example, fraudulently, would generally take a higher burden of proof, particularly where, as I say, a decision to actually institute a prosecution could be challenged, and even the initiation of prosecution would then have the protections of going to trial. So at this stage, this feels very premature, but if there is a vast conspiracy against him, it doesn't seem like that's established in the papers, but we'll wait for the answering papers and for the court's outcome.
So we have a politician, I mean a senior politician, going to court to stop an investigation of what is not yet a formal case. I mean, this is the kind of ultimate idea of a battle between elites for power in some ways, isn't it?
I can't say if it's that, but I will say that on the merits, it doesn't look particularly good for the Premier. What he says is that there's the investigation should be interdicted because there's just no case for him to answer whatsoever. But what we see from the Public Protector's report, which is meticulously prepared, is that there's not only an allegation that there was a payment from the Mbazana municipality to a contractor, and that very contractor says on affidavit that they made a payment to Mr. Mabuyane. Mr. Mabuyane's contractor to advance his house renovation. There's also bank statements. There's also emails. There's also affidavits confirming it. And I'm not in a position, having just read the report, to say whether that's true or not. But the way that the evidence is summarized in the affidavit to try to interdict the application certainly seems at loggerheads with the report from the Public Protector, which, as I say, seems to be meticulous and really well sourced.
Johan, I really do appreciate the time. Thanks very much indeed. Johan Lorenzen, associate at Richard Spoor Incorporated, attorneys. Interesting story developing in the Eastern Cape.